De jogar, isso eu já não sei.
Hello everyone and welcome to Zelda's adventure, welcome to the awful block, welcome to the continuation of our mini Zelda block.
Olha só, Philips.
3D. We, the CDI community, are very excited to present to you the final piece of the Unholy Triforce. Big shout out to Grumpmeister for running the other two CDI games in the last two GDQs. And here I'm joined by
esse jogo,
the first two ever speedrunners of Zelda's adventure.
esse jogo,
who pioneered the run.
sério,
First route ever. MC,
esse jogo, nossa,
Hi, I'm MC, and yeah, no, Zelda's Adventure is a
nossa,
part of my
sério.
history that I will always remember, and I will
Sério,
always
esse
show up
jogo,
when
bom,
it's
eu não
being
vou nem falar
presented to
nada.
40,000 people, but I do
Eu
not
já
know if
vi,
I'll ever run it again.
eu já vi trechos de run, mas sério mesmo, esse jogo, gente, por favor me ajudem a, assim ó, vamos apoiar uns aos outros aqui, tá, gente? E vamos apoiar o runner acima de tudo, porque, enfim, esse jogo fala por si mesmo.
I've always enjoyed doing science on this game because it's such a beautiful, interesting mess that seems like it should have more glitches than it does.
Yes, we would love more eyes on the game, of course. I'm Juggernaut, by the way. I never introduced myself, but my contribution to the run is mostly small optimizations, and then perhaps the worst thing that ever happened to this game. And we'll get to that about 15 minutes into the run. You'll see what I did. And also we have our wonderful host. Thank you so much for the introduction, Lana.
Só para explicar ali também, vocês estão vendo que embaixo da categoria ali que é N%, diz CDI. CDI é o console da Philips, tá? Um videogame da Philips. Foi desenvolvido, foi criado pela Philips e co-desenvolvido pela Sony na época. E o jogo foi lançado em 94. Esse console é de 1991. Gente, isso é raridade. Não necessariamente uma raridade boa, mas é uma raridade. Isso foi pré-PlayStation 1, pois foi um dos primeiros consoles que também suportava leitura de discos. De certa forma. Se eu não me engano foi pré-PlayStation 1. Ou já havia sido lançado PlayStation 1. Não, acho que PlayStation 1 foi depois de... Foi depois de 1991, né? Se não me engano. Gente, só informações assim sobre o que é. Acho que pouquíssimas pessoas, se não talvez ninguém, ouviu falar deste console, CDI.
This game is radical, dude. Totally. It is my honor to donate to PCF as a sign of my affection for charity events by gamers like you, Doug. Good luck on your run. If you're thirsty, have a cup of Andor cider on the house. And remember, lessons of the heart, mercy, and human kindness prevail above all else. I have a second part if I can keep going.
Please.
All right. There will be no more viewing tonight. Wait, no, Gaspra. There will be lots more viewing tonight. So excited to see my wonderful uncle open Awful Block and hear our friends MC, Organics, and Lana too. Aw, thanks, doll. Here's to preventing cancer.
Então, o nome da... Teve uma bid war também para o nome do arquivo, o nome do... Nome do... o nome do personagem vai ser Lunk.
There's 11 W's and way more I's I can fit in there, but Lunk will fit just fine. But listen to this very good sound that this is about to make.
Pelo que eu tô vendo aqui, parece um VHS, parece muito VHS, o leitor, o aparelho em si. Não sei se não suportava, porque era um centro, um centro de multimídia geral, mas tinha alguns poucos jogos, né? E como era um aparelho da Philips, eu acho que tinha talvez suporte a VHS também, talvez, mas realmente o CDI, ele era leitor de disco. Olha essa belezinha.
First, I'm going to pick up the wand here. There's an NPC called Shermack who exists in the world.
Gente, vamos aguentar isso junto, tá? Vamos. Me ajudem. Vamos lá. Olha isso. Vocês conseguem ver que tem umas semelhanças com o Zelda, tipo, né? Ó, tem a espadinha, né? É de ação. Vai de uma tela pra outra, lateralmente, né? Olha o NPC ali.
rubies.
Esse aqui era o NPC. Eu não sei o que que é inimigo, o que que é aliado ou NPC. Eu não sei, gente. Vamos lá. O estimado dessa run é 1h24. Por favor, me ajudem. O sol já está nascendo. Eu não tanco, velho, dá não. Confia aí. Confia, gente, vai melhorar. Capa.
As a Breath of the Wild fan, are we seeing the origin of the shrine in the Zelda series right now?
Gráfico melhor
Yes,
que
Breath
Tibia.
of the Wild obviously stole that from Zelda's Adventure. There are 7 shrines, not 100 and what is it?
Olha aí o
36
NPC, ó,
something in
comprou
Breath of the Wild. It's quite a few.
alguma
But
coisa.
there's 7 shrines to get through, no dungeons or anything like
Olha
that.
ali,
They're
ó.
just called shrines. So the MacGuffin to collect in the game is called
Eu
a
só tô
celestial sign. There's no
em
Triforce
dúvida
or
se
anything.
esse
That's
personagem que tá
left in
controlando é pra
Hyrule
ser
proper.
realmente o
We're
Link ou
actually
se é
in
pra ser a
a
Zelda.
sub-area of Hyrule
Porque,
called Ptolemac,
primeiro, não é verde,
which is
é azul.
Camelot spelled backwards. So, pause for laughter.
As roupas e tem cabelo amarelo, não tem
We will get
chapéu.
that one more time.
Gente,
Something else will be spelled backwards very
nossa.
soon, and we'll call that out when we get there. But now I'm just
Vai melhorar.
over to the first shrine,
Zelda de
the Shrine
CDI,
of Earth,
sem
or the
ser a
Shrine of
categoria
Rock,
All
depending on who
Cutscenes,
you
não
ask.
tem graça.
The boss of the shrine calls it the Shrine of
Ao
Rock,
meu
but
ver,
the
é a
map of
Zelda.
the shrine calls it the Shrine of Earth. I picked up a ladder on the way
Parece
as
alguma
well. That's why
versão.
I had to go
Não
all the way
sei.
to the west there.
É a aventura de
The
Zelda,
routing
não
is
do
very
Link.
sort of intentional,
Exato.
just
Não,
trying
não é
to
do
avoid
Link, é do
things with
Lunk.
enemies on them, but also trying to move
Zelda.
diagonally when it's convenient because it's faster. You get about, what is it, the 41% movement speed up, thanks to our good friend Pythagoras.
Ó, ganhamos 10
Since we
rupees.
still move sort of the same speed horizontally and vertically as we go. But we're one screen away now from the, no, it's fine, everything's fine. From the first shrine here.
Tá, a gente
And
tá
then
chegando
we'll
então na
get
primeira
started from
shrine.
there and talk about shrines.
Olha aí, estamos entrando na primeira shrine.
And this is awesome. How much money we have. I want to have a minimum of 40 rubies before we begin this first shrine. I could try
Olha
to
aí, pegou
farm
uma
rubies
escada.
within the shrine a little bit if I wanted to, but it's much safer to just have them already. So a lot of
Na real,
reset points,
essa personagem tá parecendo uma
involve not
mulher
having
que
enough
limpava a
rubies to start
casa
with,
pra
but having 90
mim.
is an incredible amount. So that's an excellent
Não.
start. And
Parece que tá
I'll just go
varrendo os
and jinx
bichos.
myself by saying so.
Would we want to comment on the use of the ladder? Because you went into the menu where you find items to equip and place the ladder, which is a little on and unconventional of how it works.
Yes. Well, there's lots of odd and unconventional things to come in this speedrun, and you will see all of that. But yes, the ladder is an excellent point.
É a skin da Zelda, dona de
If
casa.
you use the ladder in that
Nossa.
chasm to cross over,
Brincadeira,
that's why it's a
brincadeira.
required
Não,
item
mas
to cross
é...
otherwise.
Cara,
It is
eu
removed from
acho,
your
ainda
inventory,
acho que é o
and
Link
the game, seeing that nothing is equipped at that time, will
do mundo
default to
alternativo.
re-equipping your wand, 'cause
Do
nothing else is
multiverso, é o
equipped.
Link do
And that's very
multiverso.
handy. There are 2 types of items. There are treasures and there are weapons. We'll be collecting our
Olha aí,
first
primeira
weapon
arma que vai
from this
coletar.
mimic. So, every D&D thing stole mimics from Zelda's. No, I think they already exist. I don't think we can give credit to Zelda's Adventure for that. But
Se
this is the
fosse
Jade
da
Ring.
Marvel, era
It costs
Homem-Aranha
4 rubies
limpando,
to cast, and it's a required item to kill
limpando minha
3
casa.
enemies called Stardaks, which block the way to the boss of the first shrine. This one takes 4 hits to kill. The second one, inexplicably,
Que esses
only takes 2 hits,
sons do
and the
jogo,
third one takes
gente?
4 hits again. So that's 10.
Gente, eu não sei se eu vou aguentar esse jogo.
Doug, do you think we would have time for organics here to explain a little bit about how we gathered
Por
information
favor.
about this game? Because a lot of the things you're saying,
Não, mas-
like Sardak, seemingly
Mas
have
vai,
come out of
vai
nowhere.
melhorar, né?
Absolutely,
Deve
please
melhorar.
do.
Oh boy, so
Só pode
there's
melhorar,
very little resources about this game, so
né?
a lot of it comes from
1h24.
in-game dialogue and text.
Olha que
There's
não
basic
passou
dialogue
nem
section
5
named in the game,
minutos
though.
direito.
I believe that
Relaxa
we
que
got
ontem
because
teve
we
bem
found
pior,
online the transcript
troço
of
de
the,
pixel de terror cabuloso.
Nintendo help, oh, it wouldn't be Nintendo, but whatever helpline it was. Back in the old
Yeah.
days, there's a phone number on the back of the CD case, and if you get stuck in the game, you can call it up and they'll give you some tips. So we got a full transcript of their log of like how to beat this game. and
Depois
everything
fica bom.
detail about it. So a lot of random information in this game comes from that. It's a
And
very
what's-
bizarre resource.
It's an incredible. It's
Quando
just an
acabar,
information
melhora.
dump. I don't think we have a physical copy of it. It's
Olha,
in some,
equipou o anel.
forum somewhere. It's just
Ele
a
tem
in-depth
bastante dinheiro, ele
full of
disse que
guide
precisava
that
pelo
you
menos
can
40
pay to
rupees, ele tem
to call in and
112.
get some help with Zelda's Adventure.
And there's a lot of things that haven't been named officially, so we just name things how we want in the CDI community.
É incrível como dropa tipo 5, 10 rupees, né? Nunca é só um. What? Uma bota? Ah, aquela bota era um item, tá.
I just picked up some red boots. I mentioned that we were stuck sort of in the beginning area, sort of the great plateau of Zelda's adventure. Those red boots will allow us to cross.
Nossa, pra mim isso daí tava tudo escuro. Esse inimigo agora. O que é esse bicho com o machado?
Yes, they cost 100 rubies, and on the any percent route, we will only encounter 2 dark screens. I think there's only 2 dark screens in the game anyway. So both of them are traversable with
Desculpa, gente. Desculpa. Não, pera. Seriedade.
That guide also that Organics mentioned is based off of an earlier build of the game and actually makes reference to several items that ended up.
No começo eu achei ruim, mas quando chegou no final parecia que tava no
Something they actually deemed was not good enough for this game's final build.
Indeed. Well, there's 2 builds.
Ontem teve emoji de emoji foi som de elefante.
You can definitely fall deep into like a Wikipedia rabbit hole.
Olha isso. Na animação de arremesso de machado tá legal. Olha aí, ó. Será que é um boss?
This is Lort, by the way. L-L-O-R-T. It's troll spelled backwards. I promise that's the last time that's going to happen.
Parece que foi feito massinho de modelar. Ó, fala disso, mas Donkey Kong, os sprites foram feitos de uma forma diferente, que realmente lembra massinho de modelar. Ó, cutscene, gente.
Sure, the Celestial Sign gives us a heart container for free, which is quite helpful. It powers up the wand, so now your default wand attack actually does additional damage. And what's this other thing? It also powers up your defenses, like.
Pelo visto não dá pra pular cutscene.
You do take less damage the more Celestial Signs you collect.
Yes, so you'll see as we finish the 6th shrine and head to the 7th, I will take very, very little damage from almost every enemy in the game, except for the ones that are sort of intended to be encountered only at that point. Those ones will deal regular amounts of damage. Could you also talk about why I'm going to do this intentional death here to warp back to the Vision Henge? Also why it's going to take me 10 hits to lose my 4 hearts.
O boss é o próprio jogo. Mas então, ele tá falando aqui que vai ter uma death intencional aqui pra ser um death warp, né? Ele vai morrer aqui, e daí ele vai dar um warp pra uma outra área pra salvar tempo. Por favor, salve tempo. Isso não era um filme que acabou sendo um jogo assim? Eu não sei, Teclas. Eu não sei. A gente tá tentando descobrir aqui junto.
It's really bizarre.
So yeah, instead of your half hearts or your quarter hearts, we have.
O cara tem 370 rupees.
If you want to talk about a dedicated speedrun community, listen to Organics.
Do nada aparece o Double
points of Zelda's adventure, stuff that when I was originally running this game back in the beginning, I didn't care. I just knew that those enemies that we just encountered on screen to give you a lot of damage. I didn't care how many points.
I don't think anyone cares now either. It's fine.
All right, we'll go to this nice peaceful
Tá,
pond here.
eles vão na parte da água, coletaram a água.
And then do another intentional death. Don't worry about the crying statue.
Vai ter mais uma morte intencional aqui pra salvar tempo. E a última morte intencional que ele vai fazer na run, a princípio. Podia ter mais skips essa run. 1h24 é muito. Não, calma. A gente tem que apreciar a arte, né? Não, a gente tem que apreciar a arte. Vamos apreciar a arte.
Sounds essentially like all the wind, all the sound effects and stuff like that, and also played Gaspro, which is very cool. He also
Vamos apreciar a arte,
wrote and had made a very cool overworld theme that is unfortunately not included in the game because
tá bom, até tá bom, né, Leos? Tá bom.
To restart, so you'd hear the first 5 seconds.
Ó, equipou ali o jarrinho de água.
But here Gleb is finally hydrating.
Isso, tá lembrando de hidratar. Hidratem os outros, hidratem a vocês mesmos. Hidratação é importante. Então ele vai coletar uma arma aí, neste mercante a princípio.
Wizrobes are very dangerous in a couple of the shrines, so we'll just go ahead and pick it up anyway. This guy's going to try to talk me out of
Agora
my adventure,
tem até alfa na AGDQ. Olha.
You know, it's very exciting
37k de pessoas vendo isso em GDQ, exato. Tô feliz que não é só a gente, não é só a gente. Esse jogo conta a história do Zelda enquanto o Link dormia no Breath of the Wild.
So shoutouts to Mark, I believe is the guy's name.
Mark Andrade, yes. I believe he's also actually dubbed over by
Olha o alcance do hitbox da varinha ali, da espada, sei lá.
I don't know. But yes,
Isso aí tem full cara de fangame. Tem cara de fangame, mas realmente não é.
They did their absolute best, but it's mostly just Veritas employees that play both the
cara desse bicho ali dessa última sala.
Human beings that were photographed in various states of walking
É cada bicho.
as a camera was watching them sort of strapped to the ceiling.
Varinha maior que Master Sword.
And all of the enemies and stuff
Meus
are
olhos.
animation, so somewhere on Earth.
Você só passou
these
11 minutos.
models exist, and I
Não,
think
gente,
people
já
on the
passou
museum
11
I'd love
minutos.
to,
Vai ser
to at least be
rápido,
able
1h20.
to look at one in real
Vai
life.
ser
That'd be so
rápido.
cool.
Vamos.
By a museum, you mean your house, of course.
My house. Yes, the shelf behind me needs these claymation figures. Also, there's a lot of dioramas in play, like miniature dioramas, that were like there's a guy that just made all this stuff, and like Gasper, whenever he's in a cutscene, is green screen.
Orçamento game R$100.
Miniaturized.
Quero essa varinha no Breath of the Wild
to put
2.
into a much smaller thing that actually exists in real
Eu
life.
tô é com medo disso aí. Não preciso ter medo.
Now we're going
Tá,
to pick up a
vamos ver
couple
aqui.
more things that are the vial of wind we got from Gleb the Thirsty isn't actually going to be used until we're on our way to the 5th shrine. And this raft that I'm about to pick up on this screen with the Tektites won't be used until inside the 5th shrine. So we're just doing some convenient pickups.
Então agora ele tá indo pro segundo shrine e está fazendo isso e no meio do caminho vai pegar alguns itens específicos que estão no meio do caminho para fim de otimizar a run. É isso que ele tá basicamente fazendo aí. Enquanto isso a gente aprecia esta obra de arte. Ele diz que precisa equipar as rupees para poder usar elas. Então, ele comprou o Sapphire Ring.
Yeah, so the Sapphire Ring, I don't think it was too expensive. Yeah, it's 20 rupees to buy, but I think it costs more than that per use. Isn't it like 30
it's 26 rupees.
Oh, 26. Jesus.
Yes.
But it is the strongest weapon in the game. It's the only weapon in the game that exhibits a property where... So when you use a weapon in this game, you still swing your wand and you fire out projectiles from it. This is the only weapon in the game where those projectiles continue to exist after hitting an enemy. So you'll hit an enemy and it'll knock them back, and then the projectile carries on and hits them again and again and again, all the way across the screen. So it does a ton of damage compared to every other weapon in the game.
Então, esse Sapphire Ring dá um efeito que aquele anel que tem uma pedra azul, né? Ele ativa o efeito dele quando tu usa, ele ativa na varinha na hora de magias, que daí a magia, quando dá o hit no inimigo, ela não só dá o hit, mas meio que atravessa o inimigo e dá um knockback no inimigo, mas continua dando hits no inimigo, então isso dá um overlap até a magia literalmente sair de tela. Então com uma magia só tu acaba dando muito dano no inimigo, porque continua empurrando ele até a magia sair da tela. O que é interessante.
She helps us out. She fills up our.
Viu o link ali fora?
So I was sort of ignoring those p-hats, those recurring Zelda enemy p-hats.
Cara, falando bem sério, eu já vi muita coisa medonha nessa vida, mas isso de longe foi a coisa mais medonha bizarra. Isso nem que eu já vi, estou assustado vendo esse jogo. Quando tiver um tempo, olha. Esse também é muito bom. Zelda Wand of Gamelon. Cara, o Wand of Gamelon? Não, pera. Calma aí.
Enjoy the first and only usage of this sprite that's about to happen as we slide down this slide here.
Here we go.
There it is.
Oh, escorregador.
Excellent, very good. That's a great FFZ emote on my channel, and we spam that every time we do that, which is hopefully once per run, but we'll have to see. But anyway, there is an enemy in here, a required mini boss. We have to kill him to open up.
Sim, esse Wand of Gamelon eu já dei uma olhadinha.
If you remember for like the Famicom Disk System version.
Já dei uma
of
olhadinha
Zelda
também,
1,
vi
there are
vídeos assim,
pulse voice
pessoal
enemies,
comentando
and
sobre.
fortunately, on that console,
O
the
Zelda tá
second
agitando.
controller has a microphone in it, and so very coolly, Nintendo let you
Mas assim,
you yell into that to kill the pulse
realmente eu
voice,
acho
which
que é
is
o
very cool,
Zelda.
and I think you
Porque
just use the
pensa
sweep to
só,
kill them in the American version. So in this
o
game, there's a
nome do jogo é
noise spell
Zelda's
that you
Adventure.
can
É a
collect
aventura
if
da
we go
Zelda e
7
não do
screens out
Link.
of our way, sort of on our way to the next shrine. But it's actually, unfortunately,
Então
because of the
realmente deve
loading
ser a
times,
Zelda.
faster for us to, instead of using the spell that can kill this pulse voice in 4 hits, if we stand here for 1 minute and 47 seconds and hit him 280 times with our wand, is faster. It's a speed strat to do that. So we'll be doing that while Lana uses.
O cara tem que acertar, tem que dar hit com a varinha e agora nesse bicho mais de 200 vezes. É a forma mais otimizada que tem de derrotar esse cara, esse bicho aí. E daí, enquanto isso, vamos escutar umas doações. Mano, não acredito, velho. Bonk nele. Bonk do boss. Bonk. Bonk.
I got you, Steve.
Mano.
Love you. Thank you.
Só vamos. Só vamos, gente. Como é que vai a vida? Sol já nasceu aí? Já tá claro aí?
Who says, so happy finally seeing Zelda's adventure being run. Certainly an interesting game I'm so glad to have experienced for myself. For it is
Aproveitem, vão no banheiro.
Good morning from Norway.
Peguem mais café. Peguem um pãozinho. Aqui já tá ficando claro. Vou até pegar uma água e amendoim, exatamente, Alan. Eu já tô com o amendoim aqui do lado, meu refri tá no meu último copo. Meu Deus, eu vou ter que fazer. Eu não vou ter o refri mais. Eu tenho que fazer café pra aguentar. Aqui já tá relativamente claro. Tá, foi. Terminou. Por que a Zelda parece que tem uma Keyblade? Eu não sei, Lynx. Eu gostaria de saber.
Incredible, thank you. I would be so impressed if you grew up playing this game. I equipped the dagger that we got in the inn because now I'll be fighting some Wizards, and this one's gonna shoot at me right out the gate.
Que é isso?
Please don't do that again. Now this is a bit of a challenge. This one, so hitboxes in this game are a bit.
Que é essas coisas? Parecem aqueles brinquedinhos de brincar na areia, sabe? Os baldezinhos.
There we go. Oh my goodness. All right, please, friend, I'm begging you.
Matou e nem vi.
The reason I want to kill these Wizards is not because I need to open a door or anything. They will drop a compass for me. Compasses are a recurring Zelda item.
Nossa, tá. Ganhamos uma bússola. É isso? Uma balde de areia ou umas geleias.
So that is one of the big improvements that Organics made on the route is routing in collecting 2 compasses so we can sort of get
Desculpa o barulho, é amendoim.
And it's a big help, and it lets us skip, unfortunately, an entire very cool area of the game where there is a swamp where there's only a couple of items that are optional.
Como o runner aguenta, eu não sei, Marcola. Eu não sei.
I absolutely love that usage of the compass, by the way, being utilized like that. It's one of those things that's like, wait a minute, did Zelda's Adventure make like a really cool decision with a recurring item in the Zelda series?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And care to explain also why I was very nervous doing that bridge?
Oh, that room is one of the run killers because as you saw, there was ice physics present for some reason.
Tinha aquela sala que tinha meio que aquela ponte, aquele caminho específico. Tinha física de gelo, eles estavam falando. Nossa, tipo, realmente. O cenário tá parecendo Digimon World. Cada tela é um negócio completamente aleatório, né? Queria ver essa run 100%. Pois é. Aham. Capa. O Wizards aí parece o Gandalf. Respirou fundo, mostrou a bala. Acho que só ele
if you
joga
die in the
esse
boss
jogo,
rush
não é
in the game, you go
possível.
back to the beginning of the boss rush, but they
Deixa eu
made
dar uma
it very
olhada no
difficult, so
speedrun.com.
no one actually knows that.
The previous room, by the way, was my favorite room in the game. Did you know that's my favorite room?
I didn't. The one with the two gorilla in it.
Zelda's
that give you a knife?
Adventure.
Yeah, because they give you a knife item, and then you have to go into your treasures.
Olha
equip the
aí,
knife,
mais
use the
um
knife, which
inimigo
will cut a
que deve ser um
opening
boss.
in the circus tent
E
and allow
fiquei
you to proceed through.
invisível?
And then you
Não?
need to
Ah tá, foi
re-equip
pra outra
your
sala
wand
mesmo.
because that knife stays with you, even though you'll never use it again in the game.
Olha,
And
a
also,
categoria
in
de
case you're wondering,
N%
what you
tem
If you die,
7
the
Okay, that's
the
fair.
runners,
tent
7
also
postagens.
respawns. So
Nice of the tent to
100%,
the Gorias must fix it up, they
100%
must
do
sell
jogo
yeah,
não
they're like,
tem
come on, why'd you do that?
uma run.
So,
Não tem uma run
it's a bit
Dagger
100%.
doesn't work, by the way. Even though that's also a knife, dagger doesn't work on it.
oh, true, yeah, and it's not a weapon, it's a treasure. The knife is. So it's very, very confusing.
Gente, não tem quase
And that's a
nada.
big reason why if
São
someone is just learning the run, or
9
playing the game
jogadores no
even
total
casually, which does happen sometimes,
desse jogo.
I definitely
9
recommend
corredores.
that they go and get the noise spell and don't do the
Acabei
wild
de ver
noise
aqui
skip,
no-
because if you die in the shrine,
Acabei de
you have to do the
ver
whole thing,
aqui no
like I did in my practice
speedrun.com.
run earlier
Vou
today.
ser a primeira fase 100% desse
Including
jogo.
the Pulse voice noise skip. So we'll see. This
Tá,
is the
essa
scariest
aqui é
room in the
a
shrine
sala
right
mais
here. I
perigosa
put the blue ring
agora
to
da
both
Shrine.
show off it and also hopefully not die. So these are the brain crabs. I
São
call them.
caranguejos
Usui, a
de
Japanese
cérebro,
runner of the game,
parece.
calls them fleas. Oh, I wish you would have
Que
died.
som é esse, velho?
But they are fast, they are loud. I guess it's
Nossa,
not very
cara.
common. But they also shoot projectiles, so they're very, very scary. And there's 2 screens of them.
Não há
One of
nem
them-
9
oh,
CDIs
goodness.
nesse
Ooh,
mundo.
Phoenix, would you like to talk about keys in the game? We haven't discussed
Oh,
those, but
I
they're
love
very
talking
cool.
about keys. So in the inventory screen,
Isso é
which
de
we will see at some
1995,
point, actually
exato.
pretty soon, 'cause I think you need to re-equip your
Porque são
wand still.
fazeres até o programador
There
utilizar
is a
as
key
suas
counter on the
próprias
right side. You may
fotos de
notice
fé.
there's a wonderful little key counter there, always on the screen, and it's 2 digits long, so you can carry up to 99 keys. Actually, I think I tested with some cheat codes and I managed to put over 100 keys in my inventory as well. But anyway, it just glitches out that counter. But
Olha,
in the
o que
actual playthrough of the
que é
game,
esse cara
this
girando,
shrine,
esse
the Shrine
bicho
Queen, is the
girando?
only shrine in the whole
Que?
game that uses keys.
Agora tá fazendo
And there's only 2
estrelinha.
of them. So they implemented an entire 2-digit
Nossa,
key counter, always in your
meu
inventory, to
chapéu.
count 2 keys. So you don't even have them at the same time.
You
You have to
never
use
have-
1 key before you get the second.
That's correct. Well, you did hack 99 keys
Calma aí,
into your
Ultimate
inventory.
Mortal
Do you remember
Kombat
what the
3
counter
é de
read on your
1995
screen?
também.
I don't. I thought it just said
It
100
read-
and just
O cara tá jogando
It
no
read
console original.
099 because the first
Eu
zero
não
is
sei,
a
eu
string,
imagino
not
que
a
sim.
number. So they
Porque
just-
senão ia
Right
estar
on the
dizendo
right, I
emulador.
remember.
Yeah, it was very
Olha aí,
silly.
ó.
So that was Pasquinade. He's the second shrine boss.
Cutscene,
He gets
cutscene.
9 wand hits to kill, and he has a completely fixed pattern. Lord, our first boss, only had.
Eu não sei se é proibido usar emulador em AGDQ. Realmente não sei.
While Gas was talking, we can do a quick donation.
All right, for sure. So we have $100 from Mathix, who says, "Hello, AGDQ. French viewer here. Thank you again for this event. Awful Block is my favorite block.
Esse cara me lembra o da cutscene ali. Me lembra o Mago dos Magos lá do
Awesome.
Caverna
Thank
dos
you very
Dragões.
much. Now that we've completed that shrine, we can go collect a few more goodies as we head into the 3rd shrine, which is the Shrine of Air.
Então vai ir pra Shrine do
Since
Ar.
there's a mermaid or fairy pool
E no
very
meio
close
do
to us,
caminho vai coletar mais
it's
alguns
just going
itens,
to
mais
damage
algumas
boost my way
coisinhas.
through these enemies and not
Basicamente isso que ele vai
So
fazer
we
agora.
also have plenty of money, even though I did have to fire the blue ring a lot more times. We're doing pretty good for money on this run. So I won't worry too much about needing to farm rubies off of enemies on the way. But here is Sir Basil.
Ah, yes.
Yes. He's a friend of Shermac, and he gives us a broadsword. This is, again, an item we will not be using for a long time. But it's not technically required, but it's close enough to the route. It's not 7 screens out of the way like the noise spell is. So we will collect it because it will make the run faster. Shermac
It's
also
really
tried-
interesting.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Na GDQ, a não
Shermac
ser
also
que
tried
seja
to say, "You
o
seem
emulador
tired
oficial
now,
como o
so,
Virtual Console,
they predate
e geralmente
Nintendo, always telling me to go outside."
na console original e tudo.
I was
Eu
just
não
gonna
duvido
mention
realmente,
that,
Teclas. Realmente não
this
duvido, eu
game
imagino que sim.
has a lot of treasures and weapons in it.
Parece
Many
desenho
of them
do
are
Mr.
optional.
Magoo.
I know Organs could talk
Jovem
for
pouquinho
hours about
assustador.
that, honestly. But
Many of them
it's
aren't in the
Ei,
final
esse
build,
mato
yeah.
não tá tão ruim.
yeah, and
Não
it,
tá, né? Não
it's
tá
really
ruim, mas
interesting because
antes parecia que Zelda
they're all scattered
tinha
around the
virado
world
mini
seemingly I don't want to say randomly,
Escolheu.
but sometimes it feels that way, and it's so weird which ones are actually required. And it's one of those
Assim,
things
não dá pra ver a cara da Zelda,
if
mas
you are a casual player,
vendo ali a cara, até mesmo pela
you're gonna have
roupa.
a hard
Cara, a
time.
roupa da Zelda,
And
como
that's a
tem
little bit
aquela...
of
É um vestido
moment of,
azul
is this speedrun really
com
that
tipo
speedy because,
alguma
these
camiseta,
loading
alguma coisa
screens?
branca por
Yes,
baixo.
no, it is.
Me
It is
lembrou
considerably faster than playing
agora...
normally.
Como é que é? Noviça Rebelde? Cara, me lembrou assim, Noviça Rebelde, que usa tipo um avental azul, assim, coisa. Não sei porquê. Mas se bem que não é branco aí, é preto. Mas por algum motivo me lembrou Noviça Rebelde, a atriz principal ali do filme. E o chapéu. Tá, a gente chegou na próxima shrine.
You have to scroll through the items as you have too many. It will sort of have a scroll bar that you'll have to go through, and that's.
Esse pá tá rolando essa run porque o console é raro, talvez. Talvez Team Fury. Agora eu sei como torturar alguém. Esse jogo é um meme da comunidade, exato, né? É, agora a gente começou o bloco, né? Já pé na porta, né? Com, né? Zelda's Adventure. Né, o Alpha Block é disso, gente, é disso. Quando sair isso pra um console Nintendo remasterizado, então eu viro run. Esse game maravilhoso.
It's pleasant. There's actually a lot of very good voice. Well, there's a lot of fun voice acting in the game to hang out with if you run around.
Daí nasceu a roupa do Breath of the Wild. Acho que eles usaram Zelda A Link to the Past como base porque a roupa é bem parecida, se não igual. Lembra? Não existe um Alpha Block sem CDI. Pois é, isso é uma... Se eu não me engano, é bem comum ter algum joguinho que, né, aparece ali, alguma categoria e tal, do CDI. Pelo menos um. Eles tentam colocar. Vestido azul e loira é meio Alice também. Verdade, verdade.
So, I don't know. Like, there's a lady that has a dog that's like a ghost or a rainbow or something. She's just there and she like.
Olha, gente, só falta mais uma hora. Passou já 28 minutos. Pra quem teve zero a ver com o jogo. Foi a Philips quem organizou essa obra de arte com licença da Nintendo. Só pra usar o nome, né? Praticamente.
Outside and he complains about the dog, and if you go inside a building, they'll tell you a joke about the dog, which is, you know, how does... Oh, there's a dog outside.
Só sei que esse cara ganha grana preta pra jogar esse jogo. Ganha?
Top tier writing by the Veritas team.
Quem que pagaria alguém pra jogar isso?
Oh, hello, friend.
Cara, acho que o runner ganha dinheiro.
He talks for pages, but I don't think you can even go in the building, so that's very funny for him to say. Anyway, the second dog is the rainbow, sort of half invisible, transparent dog. And the third time is actually an enemy, and we'll fight it in the 7th shrine. I'm going to take a quick intentional death here, so let's get.
Tá, ele vai pegar uma morte intencional agora
Right,
e
so we have $100
ler mais
from
algumas
Video
doações.
James, who says, "You can do it, Doug. You are strong."
Thank you. Very good. This whole shrine, by the way, you can see the floor looks freshly waxed. It has ice physics throughout the entire.
Essa shrine tem física de gelo por toda ela. Toda essa shrine.
You know, ice physics in games are terrible. So now I want you to imagine CDI ice physics, and that should give you a good idea of how this game feels in this dungeon.
Truly. Those two screens of tornadoes that I passed can only be defeated with the spell of Calm. It costs 100 rubies. It's in the same inn that we picked up the dagger for the Wizrobes inn. And so since it's 100 rubies and it's quite early on the route, it's not really worth getting, especially because there's two screens of enemies that it works on. It also has another function in that it clears out... Oh, here's my favorite voice line, so let me just listen to that real quick. All right, anyway, the second function is
foi essa
there
voz?
is an optional heart container.
Olha o boss, olha o inimigo.
Hello. Okay, we'll just dodge
Não é
around
boss.
for a bit. What's
Who's
your
that?
plan, friend?
É um
This is
mini
a
boss.
Mini boss we'll fight later.
Nossa.
He got me.
Gente,
Anyway, there's an optional heart,
Runners,
and if you get the
anunciando suas próprias streams como qualquer outro streamer, não ganhe dinheiro por participar nesses eventos, são voluntários. Exatamente.
So that's required for like the 100% route.
Normalmente é.
100%.
Normalmente é assim mesmo. Tudo,
Yeah, the 100% route.
I think
tudo voluntário.
runs and no one else ever cares.
O único jogo em que pode falar que joga com os
when we're discovering things that exist in this game 20 some years later.
Acabou, a Zelda pegou o arco.
Good news, 100% it just changed.
Quando o evento é presencial, o runner até gasta dinheiro para participar. Exatamente.
That guidebook we talked about, the phone-in guidebook, mentions like 2 items that just don't exist. I spent so
Legal
many
que
hours
tudo tem um
trying to find
microloading,
them
né?
for 100%.
Exatamente, até o menu.
They're just not there.
Because imagine, in testing this game, you have to, as we saw with like the knife room, you sometimes just have to use every treasure on every room to see if something will happen. Because we don't really have the source code of this game. We can't just look at it like that.
Yeah, it's a lost treasure. Oh goodness, yes, good, some hearts. That's what I like to see.
Som de mosquito e coisa tá bom.
Yeah, so the
Tá
vial of
realista.
acid, I think it's called, is an item that doesn't exist. I think you helped out. We'll talk about it a lot more when we get to the Easter egg that everyone so generously unlocked.
O que eu acho engraçado é que a Zelda tá jogando flecha
only about
com a
14
varinha.
months, but was hidden in the code for
Esse
almost
hitbox
25
tá bom.
years. So it's an extremely exciting thing. I'm very very thrilled to share it with everyone once we get to that.
A varinha solta a flecha.
Shrines. So even if we were just very close to unlocking it, we have about an hour of the run.
Mas assim, parabéns pela paciência pra querer fazer run desse jogo. Exatamente, Samir. A gente tem que admirar isso, né?
I'm desensitized with this game, but everybody is really enjoying the bug sounds currently.
Oh yes, oh yeah, definitely. So this is the cloud boss, like we sort of
O boss
interacted a little
nuvem.
bit earlier. You don't have to kill the other one. In fact, if you do kill the other one, this one will still be here, so it's not even worth doing.
Is that a rug that he dropped?
Yeah, we don't know what the rug does.
O boss dropou um tapete
According to the manual that
e
comes with the
ele,
game, the
o cara
rug, like,
disse que
removes
não,
ice physics from this dungeon, but
não
it
sabe o que o tapete faz.
It's a lie.
Sure doesn't.
No, sure doesn't. So we
Would
don't
be a
collect
great
it.
item. Would love to see that. That'd be a proper Zelda dungeon item.
That would rock. That would be so good, but no. Well, either it's broken or they just didn't.
Esse é provavelmente o melhor game do CDI. Olha, olhando assim no geral, tipo, o escopo do negócio parece ser um jogo bom, né? O escopo dele. Agora,
1993, I think.
né? Acho que não preciso falar mais nada. Zelda contra o boss do sopo. CDI tem um bom porte de SF2. Olha, realmente não sei daí. Bom dia, Super Bro, como é que você está? Seja bem-vindo. Estamos aqui no Awful Block, começando com...
Go right and then go all the way around the wall and go out the south exit of that room. That'll reset you.
Great. Thank you, Organics.
What the...
Oh, well, there you go, bingo players. That's never happened.
Isso nunca aconteceu.
That's happened. Like, I found that glitch. That's the only place I think in the whole game. I've tried so many.
Ele conseguiu clipar na parede, ele não queria fazer isso, foi acidental.
I never do that by accident, and here we are. I was just trying to dodge the projectile. But anyway, so most of the game is sort of photorealistic backgrounds of like helicopter imagery, and once the budget sort of dried up for that, they had to
Meu
resort to
chapéu.
Para
qual console esse Zelda não conhece? Então, o console é CDI. Esse é o nome do console do Super Brawl. E literalmente, até onde eu entendi, literalmente é com a Zelda que ele está jogando.
Oh, that was very scary. Thank you.
CDI, console de menino.
I didn't know actually how to deal with that one. All right, this is Avian. She is another one of those bosses that does not have a set cycle, a predictable cycle. She actually, at one point...
Nossa, só passou 34 minutos. Gente, não é só... já passou 34 minutos. Né? Já passou. Ó, cutscene. Então, gente, quem ele é? É o Dumbledore. Ou é o
and
mestre
the
dos
boss takes
magos?
no damage and has iframes through the whole feather part of it, so that's really unfortunate. Let's get a quick donation while Gasper's talking here.
All right, so we have $20 from Grumpmeister, who says the most fitting end to the
Pior que
unholy
desses hoje é
Triforce
mais
and
caro
the
que um
best
PS4,
showcase
se
we
estiver
could
em bom
hope for.
estado.
Best of luck, Doug.
Tá
I'm
louco.
sure the run will be radical. Indeed it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Grumpmeister. Shout out to Grumpmeister again for doing the first 2 Zelda CDI games at the last 2 GDQs. Definitely represented the community well. Got a ton of people really excited to play the games, and so that's very cool. Looking forward to your Tasmania run later this awful block. Should be very cool.
Eu não sei se é tanto
But now it's actually a very
gostar
quick
Super Brawl,
overworld
mas
traversal. We
sim,
won't be
tipo,
picking up any
ah,
interesting items. We'll
talvez
barely
esse
be
é
visiting any
um
new
jogo
world
legal
entries
de
for
fazer
streams to
speedrun
talk about,
dele,
so we can
não
squeeze in a
sei.
couple more donations.
All right, so we just got a $25 donation from Rihanna, who says, "Hey GDQ, first time donating but had to for this run. Much love to Doug and everyone else who worked to put together such an amazing run. It's so cool
Esse é o
seeing this
Gandalf.
game represented at GDQ. We are all so
Gandalf,
proud
o
of you
vermelho.
guys, and I'm excited to see what the rest of Awful Block brings." Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ree.
Thank you, Ree. Awesome. Another one, please, if you will.
For sure. We have $100 from Konban Miao, who says, "Huge fan of the CDI and the Zelda games, and have never seen Zelda's Adventure to complete the trifecta. So glad to see this lovely little console and this gem represented at GDQ."
We were just talking about that. So yeah,
We were
most
talking
people-
before the run about how many people, when they think of the Zelda CDI games, they do not think about this one. They think of Link saying, "I can't wait to bomb some Dodongos," you know?
Yeah, I'm so hungry I could eat an Octorok. Like, this is definitely sort of, as I described it, the black sheep among the black sheep there, because it's not the one people think of. It was released later. It's far less sort of.
Jogo
This is
bem
the
legal, nem
hardcore,
sabia que existia.
Zelda CDI.
Pra época, tá muito bem
I'm sorry,
feito.
I can't say that seriously at all.
Well, like,
É,
sometimes, like, they'll come up,
pra
like, I'll be
época,
reading, like, forum posts
né?
and stuff, and people will say,
Então,
like, oh, you know, the other ones are actually pretty good once you get into
mas
them.
que
Like,
nem
Zelda's Adventure
alguém
is
falou,
bad
agora
through
nem
and through,
lembro.
loved it.
Não lembro
It
direito,
hurts a little,
desculpa.
but
Mas
agree.
I can argue very much.
o Mortal
because,
Kombat 1, né, tinha
like,
muito
we're
dessa
all looking at it, but
tecnologia de
I
pegar e
do love the
literalmente
game very
gravar,
much.
filmar as
I
pessoas
really
ali e
appreciate
fazer
all the
deles
silliness. I think
sprites,
it's got
né?
a fascinating history
Então,
behind it. The fact that
eu
it
vejo
even exists
esse
is
tipo de coisa
wild.
aqui
It's
nesse
like I live in
jogo.
an alternate universe, where Phillips got to make a Zelda game. It's very wild.
Né? E depois,
Alright,
isso
so
carregou, né, até o
2 years in
Ultimate
QA, we
Mortal
still got
Kombat
this.
3.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing that people like
Presta
to say.
atenção na
So
história,
this
é
is
muito
one of the
boa,
hard
deu
screens
base
in this
pro
shrine.
Zelda.
This shrine is the Shrine of Destiny, by the way. It's kind of another run killer. Oh, the anti-fairy, the Jack is in trouble. We love to see that. So these Gibdo enemies, can you explain why they're so scary, please?
Dá pra ver que
So the
CDI
Gibdos
não devia
basically,
ser um negócio
they
fácil
have
de
a
fazer
giant
jogo.
hitbox. The way that enemies
Exatamente.
attack you in this game is just by walking into you. And they're very scary just because they are huge and they actually do quite a bit of damage at this stage in the run. They also get faster when they get close to you, which is never great.
Ó, ali deu pra ver certinho que a
And they have a
magia
bunch
dava
of hit points,
knockback
so we
nos
always use
bichos,
delivering
né?
that
Eles iam
second
pra
screen of
trás.
release just because it's the most effective at
E
taking down that
continuava
many
dando
enemies
hit, porque
quickly.
continuava indo até
Yes,
sair da
and
tela.
the fun part about that screen is also whenever one dies, a Jack appears.
Isso é feito do anel de
And
safira
you
que ele
would
pegou
think that they
antes.
would obey physics and bounce like you might expect, like a proper DVD logo.
No,
they
they'll-
love
Ah,
the
Nintendo
corners.
queria dinheiro, né?
The dream
Com
of
certeza
all DVD
rolou
logos. They always hit the corner and never
só
Exactly.
pelo
stop
fato
hitting the
de
corner.
deles liberar a
They'll bounce
licença,
into a
assim.
corner,
Eles
or
já
like into
deviam
a
ter
flat,
pago
straight
algum
wall, and
valor
bounce
antes.
straight back, like along the same
E a Philips
trajectory that
apostou em
Jack
algo,
did.
né?
So they're frustrating to watch until they hit a corner, and then they're like, yeah. But typically, to be safe, one could just hold down the one button, which is the attack button, and just kind of inch your way forward. But the hitbox on the front of the Gibdo is so big
A
that
Philips tinha
if they
direito na
catch you
época.
at the
Realmente não sei
right
como é
sort
que é
of
toda a
moment
história.
between swings, they can still damage
Passado
you. So
mais, né?
they're just very scary. It's very good to sort of
Tá
train them
aí.
there.
Now that was one of my strategies right
Melhor
there. The
item
hold down
do
button
jogo é esse
and
anel
walk
de safira.
slowly forward room.
Mhm.
AKA the I'm scared of this and I really don't want to do this dungeon again strategy.
Yes. So huge run killer. This
E pelo
song.
visto também afeta
Oh my goodness. It's
as
been
flechas,
so
pelo
nice
menos
to me for
o
GDQ.
nível de knockback, mas não que a flecha
Typically, so that
continua
screen
aí
has two
dando
whiz ropes on
dano.
it. The top one, if he chooses to go left before coming downward, before going south, he will he'll be too close to be hit with the dagger.
Dizem isso que era parte do acordo com a Sony e a Nintendo ter falhado em lançar o PlayStation do SNES, talvez.
Because also there are ice physics here, and this is very similar to that first Wizrobe gap room, because these are all gaps that if you fall down, beginning of the dungeon, sorry.
Yeah, you will void out if you walk into here.
This is my favorite screen in the game that you're just on, by the way. So this little maze area, it's made of 4 screens. 3 of the screens have Wizrobes. That top right screen just has birds that sound like Wizrobes.
Essas plataformas também têm físicas de gelo, e se cair nesses gaps, nesses valões, né? Tu vai pro início da dungeon, início da shrine ali. Então tem que cuidar muito com a movimentação. Tá louco.
So it's bad news all around, unfortunately. So
que bom que começou, né? Que bom que a gente teve depois PlayStation e tudo ali, né? Poxa. Já pensou?
For the bingo cards. And then these birds will give me nothing. They're no good. We're getting sassed by Malmord, the boss of this shrine, who is about to happen. Here we are at Malmord's lair. What she does is she turns invisible and she doesn't have a hitbox that you can damage anymore when she does
Nossa,
that.
parece a Frida do DS3.
But she has a completely fixed pattern, so we can defeat her fairly quickly. She takes 8 hits with the wand, I believe, so she's not too bad. And we're going to get another Celestial Sign number 4, so we're over halfway through collecting the
Te falar que o cenário em si eu acho aceitável. Não, o cenário com certeza. Aí, já foi 4 shrines, gente.
Who says, "Yay, Zelda! He's my favorite green boy." Thanks to all the incredible runners, fantastic commentators, beautiful hosts, and all the lovely people that make this wonderful event happen.
Olha aí o Dumbledore, mestre dos magos. Sei lá.
For sure. We have
Gandalf.
$50 from Nemo2342, who says, "Awful Block is always my favorite part of AGDQ. Thank you to everyone who makes these events possible, and shout-outs to all the speed friends across the globe who stayed up for this block."
Awesome, thank you very much. It's very kind. We're now going to do a save warp. Just like dying,
Agora vai fazer save warp.
The thing is, we can't. We can, but not quickly, do another death warp if we wanted to achieve.
Dá save crit ali.
But we just now, thanks to picking up 4 celestial signs, we have so many hearts, and we have a lot of defense. So it would take a long time for us to actually take an intentional death. So it's faster to just.
Muito bom eles reaproveitando os takes.
To the Prevent Lunk Foundation.
By the way, Doug, I totally did not notice until just now, this far into the run. You're wearing an amazing shirt for the CDI run here.
Yes, thank you. It's representing the wrong CDI Zelda game, but it's one of my favorite shirts ever, and I specifically did laundry today because it was dirty. I had just worn it the other day when I was doing practice runs, and it rocks. I love it.
Que bonita filha.
To bring along for the ride here. You can see now I'm walking across this water again, thanks to the red boots. This is another time where I will
Ele consegue caminhar na água por causa das botas vermelhas.
And kind of just damage boosting through, not because I have a lot of defense or anything, but because there's another optional heart container along the way that I'll be collecting, and that gives you a full heart refill. It's something I also do in sort of PB attempts because I feel in my heart that it is faster. I haven't actually timed it out, but faster than like trying to dodge or hit these enemies, just sprinting through and ignoring.
Mano, estamos na Twitch. E ele provavelmente está no console. Ele tem o Philips CDI.
So, I mean, if you can suffer through having to enter another screen and pause and unpause twice, well, just once actually, because we can go straight to equipping the Vial of Wind afterward. So, I don't know. I like it, but every runner does things slightly differently. You know, both of us, all 3 of us do different things. No, there's 7 people. There's 7 people, I think, on the Any% leaderboard.
Ele tá falando agora. Tem 7 pessoas no Any% leaderboard.
Very cool. So if you want to get in on maybe the ground floor of what could be a very cool speed game, you're welcome to join us. That would be very cool.
The ground floor of this 26-year-old game. Wait, no, it's older than that.
Isn't it? 1994. So.
Yeah.
28
30,
years.
28. Thank you. Jeez, the numbers fail me right now.
One thing really quickly.
Essa
And I think
criaturazinha
we
azul
kind of
na
alluded to it
praia
very early on.
parece quando a
You
paleta
mentioned that
de
there's
algum
not many
personagem da
glitches
Glitch.
in this game, which is one of the most
Ai,
surprising
ai,
things
ai.
ever for such a quality title in the Zelda series. How have we not found anything? What's going on there? Like, can you give us a little bit of background on that?
We have a couple of glitches. Well, you'll see. There's a pretty small. I mean, there's ignoring. Oh, geez, I forgot which item to equip. There's like ignoring certain things, like required items and stuff. That's definitely kind of maybe a glitch. Maybe that's an artifact of powering up the wand every time.
Deixa eu ver aqui uma coisa. Eu tô vendo aqui o cronograma.
And then there's in the 7th shrine, I'll show you a very, very important glitch that
Então,
makes it so it makes the boss a little easier.
A princípio,
I use the Vial of Wind, by the
a
way.
próxima run tem uma duração de 37 minutos. Tasmania tem 11 minutos e Mega Man tem 33 minutos. Então, essa aqui é a run mais longa, a princípio do Awful Block.
Watch out, got a mini boss coming up, Doug.
Qual o mini boss? É o Lago Ness?
Oh my gosh.
É o Ness?
It's a sea serpent of some persuasion.
Awesome.
So got the quick kill.
It's a world mini boss. Can you believe it in this video game? A world mini boss too?
An overworld mini boss. But I got the quick kill if so allow me to demonstrate something interesting. If the
Sorte dele é que não tem o console, senão ia ter mais um runner pra desbancar ele. Exatamente.
Forces Zelda to walk to the center of the raft, so I'll walk up.
Olha o controle.
And then no inputs happening here, and you'll see her. She'll walk. There she goes. She walked. She walked away. So it's actually behooves you to try to keep yourself centered.
Eu nem acredito que tô assistindo a 47 assistindo. Vamos, Léo.
But also, whenever you stop to do that mini boss
Top
fight,
10
it will
seria
turn Zelda in a different direction. So I'm not very consistent with
o cara legit no console. A gente teve ali a comprovação.
You have to make sure that you're facing the right direction, and sometimes the game says no, you cannot. So now we're in the Shrine of Water.
Tá, quinto Shrine da água.
Lots of little pitfalls and traps to come out and stab you and stuff. There's these spikes. Here's Zol's, another recurring Zelda enemy. But you see spikes sort of flying out of the walls, which is annoying because they're completely RNG. Can't predict them. There's one that we've named after a runner of the game.
O barquinho até balança com a onda e o povo reclamando do jogo.
I picked up a plank here as well.
E eu não tô reclamando.
And this is another one of those nice sort of
Estamos aqui, aproveitando. Olha ali, ó, aquilo ali veio do Goof Troop. Veio do jogo lá do Pateta. Pateta e Max. Colocar pedaço de maneira para poder atravessar o outro lado.
This is the last sort of hard shrine, because the next two are, it feels like just too simple or incomplete or something. So once we finish this shrine, we'll be basically kind of home free, which is nice. And here's a Kelpie. Who wants to talk about Kelpies?
Rob does.
Sure. So similar to in the first try.
Só falando aqui, gente, o recorde mundial deste jogo é 1 hora e 9 minutos e 25 segundos. Só para vocês terem uma base em comparação ao estimado.
Kelpies are also, I can't remember what the required weapon is to kill them normally, but they're one of those enemies that we just beat repeatedly with the wand until they die, because equipping weapons is slow.
Se não disser que o chat não é um bom companheiro do comentarista mentir, porque para aguentar isso, exato, muito obrigado, gente, muito obrigado por me acompanharem aqui nesta jornada de aventuras de Zelda. Hoje ele vai bater o WR. Se a Zelda permitir.
Strategy unlocked. Speedrunning. Yeah.
Yes.
And then a year later, Doug discovers noise skip and we all cry.
Yep, so that was basically the seed that sprouted into noise skip, because like not needing the required item. You see she's turning blue, which means she's allegedly not taking damage. That's exactly what the Pole's voice was doing. That's what Avian, the third shrine boss, would have done if I had hit her with my...
É legal esse stunlock nos inimigos, né? Fácil de derrotar.
But she's taking at least micro amounts of damage. You don't have to hit 280 times, fortunately. I wonder if we were to hack ourselves in a weaker wand, how many hits it would take. But that is the strat, and that's the strat for another mini boss coming up as well. And both of those sort of led to the eventual discovery.
Nunca torci tanto por
do it there,
WR.
why not do it earlier in the game as well? And oops, it worked. Noise skip came about because
Meu chapéu.
I had gone back to Shrine of Illusion.
Que
and I was
é
just
isso?
doing, like, I was just learning things and running around, and I killed the Pole's Voice with my wand, but I was much later in the game, so it didn't take 280 hits. But then eventually we timed it out, and it was faster. So
what was that water blob? I have a very big, you know, as someone who knows the game very intently, what is that water blob?
I didn't want to interrupt my train of thought. I didn't want to derail there. But that, yeah, that's sort of like Jello booger person. That's Egwanda. She is the boss of this shrine.
Aquela
In every shrine, the
água
boss
coisa
will
lá
sass you, sort of
é a
either in
princípio
person
boss
or like over a
desse
PA
shrine
system.
que vai
And
aparecer mais tarde.
in that case, that's Egwanda. We'll fight her later. She thinks we're after the water of life. She and Lort, for some reason, think that we're after like.
Gente, repara no barquinho balançando com a onda. Physics.
But now,
I've never gone this in depth into the thought
Physics.
process of the bosses. This is
Gente,
amazing.
gente.
but this is the final
Já
sort of
passamos
stretch
de
of the shrine.
51
We will be doing
minutos.
a very frightening auto-scroller
Vamos,
on this raft that I collected
vamos,
just
vamos.
south of Great Wimbish, way earlier.
Let's
in the
go.
run.
Empurra.
But I
Bora.
would be sort of paraded through a few screens of
O cara tá
enemies,
atacando
and you just have to sort
tartarugas,
of
velho.
try to knock them back away from me. Otherwise, like my hitbox is just slowly brought toward them, like James Bond style, like
Tirando o
villain is trying
barquinho
to chop me in
do bolso.
pieces here. Here we will see the third and final and
Nem para
optional
ter
encounter.
glitch.
We
né?
just sort of stun lock them to keep them away from us,
Eu
and
acho que é
move on our way.
N%.
Hey, Doug, is it all right if I use this moment just to push some incentives we got coming up?
How about in 1 second,
In 1 sec, perfect.
after I clench my way through the screen? So
Sounds great.
This is the scariest part of the auto scroller. There's these 3 fish. They're fast. They are unpredictable. There's 3 of them to contend with. So if we can make it through here, we are good for this shrine, and you are good to plug your incentives.
Amazing. So I just really wanted to push some incentives that we have coming up for the
Tecnologia
Awful Lot,
dos
because there are
shakes.
some amazing games that you won't
Tá,
believe.
então agora a gente tá
In
tendo os
particular, I
donations.
really want to push that we are getting close for Mega Mem 2 bad grammar percent. We have a note from the runner here that says it shows off some of the more special writing for the game, mostly the prologue cutscene and the weapon get screens, but they're quite a spectacle. So we need less than $4,000.
Chegamos, acho, se eu não me engano, no Final Boss, não. Boss do Shrine.
And it is going to be incredible. Make
Essa
sure to check out Zadette for
geleca.
1%. Discworld, give the dog a bone. We need under 4,000 for that first one and just under 8,000 for the second. So please check those out. We would love to see your donations come rolling in
E
for those.
foi.
And I'll keep my eyes
Lembrando,
open as well.
gente,
Excellent, perfect timing.
se vocês querem ver mais conteúdo de CDI, né, sigam o Doug, né, sigam o Doug, porque o cara tá aí destruindo na aventura de Zelda, no CDI.
And I'm very thankful for doing like an online event. This is fantastic for the purposes of not having to travel sort of on an airplane with the CDI. You get a lot of weird looks for bringing
Realmente
a very heavy sort of
deveras
piece of
incrível.
machinery with you. It looks like a VCR essentially, and it's made of metal, and it probably weighs 15 pounds or something. So I'm glad that we're here. This is fantastic. Let's get one more donation, please.
Ué,
All right, so
He's
we have
killing it.
$25
Ele tá
from
destruindo,
Wacky Flag
tá?
saying, "Loving the chaos
o
of the
monstro, é
run
o
so
brabo
far.
do
I'll
CDI.
donate an additional 25 if the host gives her best." Oh dear. You can never catch me.
Certo, a gente terminou agora então, né? A gente, né? Fala porque a gente tá aqui junto,
Oh,
né?
I was just going to thank all the
Apoiando,
viewers and donors
né?
for contributing to the
E
Cancer
lutando
Foundation. It's a
junto
great
com
cause,
ele,
and,
né?
really excited to see that total flying up during this
O
run.
quinto
It's nice to see
Shrine.
that, some people want to support the charity through such a
Faltam
wonderful
mais
game to
dois, não?
celebrate here.
Truly, yes, it's inspiring to watch. We cracked $1 million.
Tá destruindo
today.
mesmo meu sono
I
com
guess
esse
yesterday.
jogo
Well, it depends on your
tenebroso.
time, but
No canal dele tem
$1 million
VOD
is
dele
incredible feat, and
treinando
we'll
essa run.
manage to do
Bora
it.
ver depois,
Congratulations.
galera. Depois
That's
da
the first
maratona só,
instance
depois da
of
maratona.
using a compass to
Alô?
warp to somewhere
Por
else on the map.
favor,
We
depois
worked
da
outside
maratona.
the Shrine of Air with the 3 compass, and now we are headed toward the Shrine of Power or Shrine of Strength. Once again, like the Shrine of Rock or Earth. This one has 2 names depending on who you ask.
Lutando pra esse jogo
I
terminar.
think Gasper refers to it as basically power, and then the
Então, agora
map
tá indo pro
refers to
Shrine
it
da
as
Força,
the Shrine of
ou do
Strength.
Poder,
I can't recall. Well, this
como
might be one
preferirem
of the
chamar.
differences in the 2 release versions of the game.
Se tiver 100% eu assisto. Pois é, né? Que peninha que não
Yeah,
tem.
again, like,
Não tem
required
nenhuma
reading
run lá
for
no
everyone
leaderboard
involved. Please go check
100%.
out the cutting room floor articles on this
Está
game.
livre o
They're
caminho pra
fascinating.
vocês, gente. Consigam
Very
CDI
good.
e consigam esse
Some
jogo.
games, if you get involved
E
in the
façam um
speedrunning
speedrun
community,
desse
you'll
jogo
see a library
100%.
of different tricks and glitches and movement options you can do.
Aí
With this
assistiremos
one,
aqui
you
no
find
próximo
out
GDQ.
about the 2 localization differences between the games, and you feel happy about it.
Yeah, like, unfortunately, this game has never been, like, you know, put into Japanese or something so that you don't get faster text or faster loads or anything like that. So we do our best here.
Faster loading, we'll take that.
That's the dream. Like, if anyone were to ask, like, what's the dream trick or glitch that you could find in your game? Like, faster loads, please.
Okay, can we manually start spinning the disc faster?
Estamos falando ali, esse jogo não tem como acelerar mais, tipo, não tem versão em japonês que é mais rápido, coisa assim. Aí eles estão falando,
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I don't know.
a gente procurou alguns glitches e coisas, mas o que eu gostaria que tivesse, que fosse mais rápido, seria loadings mais rápidos, porque esses loadings, né? Os loadings, né?
So there are multiple companies and multiple versions of the CDI console. And one specific one, which is the Philips CDI 370, runs this game quicker than any other. Like, the load screens just go like a second quicker every time.
Tem uma versão do CDI que é mais rápido, que é o CDI 370. Esse carrega, tem os loadings mais rápidos, tipo, diferença de 1 segundo mais rápido.
Sony has, I think, a combo TV.
Esse é o primeiro jogo do Zelda que eu realmente tô odiando. Tão rápido. Calma, Lucas, calma, Lucas. Ô, Lucas, vamos, não é... Assim, a gente tá torcendo por um WR. A gente sempre quer WR. Mas esse jogo a gente quer muito um WR. Muito. Muito. Demais, assim. Todo mundo quer um WR. Todo mundo assistindo aqui quer um WR. Muito.
She is also incredibly parched, so everyone remember to hydrate. But she needs me to draw her some water from the well. And she gives me, and I quote, a gold necklace to increase our magic defense. And it's a weapon, and it doesn't do that. But I'll show you when we use that in the next shrine.
Ooh, target minigame. Amazing.
Minigamezinho. O jogo é muito completo, gente. Olha aí, ó.
And we get a bunch of money for it. It's very nice.
I really enjoyed this shrine from the perspective of what
Vamos, eu acredito no WR, bora.
Series, because it kind of focuses on a series of like mini games almost, and obviously it's very abstract, but I think it's really cool that it's like, okay, you first got to open the first door by doing like a target mini game, and it's like a carnival type of theme, which I think is very unique that we haven't seen in an actual Zelda game.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I'm sorry, canonical Zelda game. Correction.
Well, yes, true. This is an actual Zelda game that exists. But yeah, it's a medieval sort of carnival type, like a fair. It's very interesting. There's lots of NPCs.
O que eu acho engraçado é que, tipo, como tudo é dublado, tem áudio, mas mesmo com áudio, dá pra entender bem, mas tipo, não tem nenhum diálogo, tipo, não tem nada em texto mostrando dos diálogos, né? Nada, zero. Então se tu não sabe inglês, boa sorte. Que áudio.
His line was he's the one who says, "You've stolen from me, and I am strong."
Yes, that's correct. So that's
because we collected the red ribbon, which is apparently something that I did some history research. Apparently, knights used to be given like a ribbon by their lover or something, by their wife, and so we bought his ribbon from his lover, and so he sees that and he says, "You have something stolen from me." and I am strong.
Some
Which, of course,
lover selling the ribbon. Goodness.
Gente,
actually, I think he needs to have a
hora
discussion
de
with his
run.
lover, actually.
True.
O povo aqui
Here's
não
our
manja
second
dos
of
inglês,
two
aí não tá
required block
entendendo a
puzzles.
riqueza
And we got
dessa
the time. We
lore.
can clean up. We can clean up here. Yeah.
Ooh, well
Ooh,
done.
yeah.
Excellent block
Thank you,
puzzle.
thank you.
Nossa, olha esse puzzle
The
block
last
aí.
block is not required, but we're not really going to be on world record pace here, mostly because we've been doing a lot of sort of marathon safety strats, and we'll be getting an optional Easter egg. But gotta clean up.
O cara disse que não vai ser
Or it's
WR,
invalid. I get yelled at if I don't.
que tá indo
if I don't
muito
push that
safe,
last one by my chat,
que não tá salvando
that's very
tanto tempo
important.
assim. E ainda
we
vai
hit
ir
an
num
hour.
easter egg
Congratulations to us.
opcional.
Can I take a moment to read
Awesome.
another donation, Doug?
Sure, after I make a donation to this thief character.
Yes.
If you hit their hitbox, they will steal money from you. But let's get a donation in.
All right, so we have $12.83 from Theo Reticle, who says Zelda's adventure has less
Aí,
food in it than
opcional.
Majora's Mask Run, and I love it.
100% Alan.
Donation goes to give the dog a bone. Gaston deserves it. Feed the animals.
Ele vai no quê?
Thank you, everyone, and
Easter
good
egg
fortune to you, Doug.
opcional.
Loving to see these incentive donations come
Bora.
in. Keep it up, everyone.
Thank you. That was another good line. He said, "Can you even lift a broadsword?" That's pretty funny.
Can you even lift? Like that guy is the original. Do you
Um.
even lift guy. He says, "Can you even lift a broadsword?" Man,
Exactly.
I love the lines in this game. Man, I love this game. I don't want to play it, but I love this game.
Tá soltando espada.
That's a lot of the energy that's brought in by former runners of the game. Get your abacus.
Ah, já estamos aqui, né? Fazer o quê? Fazer o quê, né?
Experience the ultimate abacus. And there it is. Ooh,
Wow.
All right, it's gone. It's over. Goodbye.
Pois é,
All right,
Mia.
Ursor is the boss of this shrine. He's a giant
Mihawk.
bear. He's not
Esse
like the
joguinho
dog.
é
His
deveras
his strength does not
diferente.
appear elsewhere, but he's quite powerful. He deals 2 hearts worth of damage every time.
Não sei nem o que
he
comentar
hits
mais
you,
sobre esse jogo.
And he also takes a whopping 22 wand hits to kill, which I think is about double the next amount. So pretty wild. But this is gonna be kind of a long fight. We can get a donation in for sure.
Vai ser vários hits nesse boss também, então vamos ter mais donations sendo lidas. E é isso.
Thank you. Another one will fit in too. It's a long fight.
All right, we have $50 from Shads, who says, I went to bed earlier in order to stay awake for Awful Block, and I'm happy with my decision. I think it's amazing that there's a CDI community. Like that Pole's voice from earlier.
Terminou
Let's
essa
beat
fight.
cancer.
É legal, né? Os comentários. Ah, fui dormir mais cedo. E não me arrependo disso. Eu estou adorando essa run de Zelda's Adventure. Foi isso a última donate. Olha esse urso que realista, uma mistura de Pitbull com Vamos, mestre de magos, Gandalf, Dumbledore. Bora.
Because I was demonstrating, like, oh, look, you can't collect it from the right or the bottom or the... Oh, you can get it from the left. Okay, never
Wait, you
mind.
can get it from the left?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
I love Zelda's
Os gringos
Adventure.
também estão gostando do jogo.
Yeah, it rocks. All right, and now, thanks to, again, your
Ele tá
generous
recebendo pra
donation,
comentar
the
isso.
Food Dude Easter egg. This is an Easter egg that was 25 years in the making, or in the finding, I guess.
Ele vai fazer o easter egg agora.
2 compass. Because we will warp right after we pick up this first required item for it. But you can check out, shout out to Wand of Gamelon with underscores between on Twitter. They're the ones who sort of broke the news about this. There's a website called shikote.com where a person has a very cool interactive map of Zelda's Adventure that has, on every single screen, it has every sprite that gets loaded, which will include like every single like movement of every enemy and like facing every direction. So like some screens will have, you know, dozens of sprites loaded, but they found for some reason there was this weird sprite loaded on this really out of the way screen for no reason, and they were like, what's going on with that? And you can go through the thread on their Twitter of like them just like puzzling about this and how it's like how do I unlock this? How do I find this character? They also found the unused voice line that is spoken by Food Dude, this character who is a skateboarder, and they're just so confused about it.
A skateboarder?
Yeah,
in Ptolemaic?
Yeah. They were like, what is this skateboarding sprite doing here in this medieval sort of fantasy world is so unusual. Like, what do we do? And why is this like voice line that is completely out of place and anachronistic? Why is it here? And they're like, do you have to change your file name to something specific? Do you have to, like, what do you have to do? And they found out finally how to do it is to take a very specific item. So right now I have, let me see what I have equipped. Okay, I have the wand equipped. Let me equip the, this is the coal item that we need. If I use it, it makes a bonking sort of sound, a sound that
Eu estou tentando entender o que ele tá falando. Ele tá dizendo que tem esse easter egg todo, e nesse lugar que ele vai ir, tem tipo um sprite de um skate ou algo do gênero. Ou um skatista. E pra ativar isso, conseguir realmente, ele precisa do item do carvão, que é o que ele tá segurando.
On that screen for a certain amount of time, then that would summon Food Dude and sort of finally unlock the Easter egg. So it took about 14 months.
Quando ele chegar lá, ele vai usar esse carvão, que dá esse som, esse tipo bonk, coisa. Que... Enfim, vai dar trigger no easter egg. E daí tu, na verdade... Não, na verdade não é com o carvão, é com diamante. Eu não sei mais, eu tô tentando entender, é difícil entender. Fala bem, Lucas, vamos ver. Por favor, fale para o chat tudo que você conseguiu aprender e absorver desse jogo. Então, este jogo, ele é... deveras complicado. Eu entendi a habilidade do anel de Safira, que tem esse o anel mais roubado do game. Entendi que varinhas podem soltar flechas. Ó, essa é a tela. Glitch. Ele vai segurar para baixo, de pad para baixo, por 6 segundos. Olha!
And that's it. So
there you go.
Very anticlimactic for something so fascinating, a story behind it. But there he is. We brought him to GDQ. Thank you so much for your generous donations. That's $15,000 right there to prevent cancer. Very cool. So Food Dude, by the way, is...
Well, what is his voice line? I didn't have an audio feed. I forget it.
Radical Dude, totally, is his voice line.
Oh, okay.
So, like, why is someone saying Radical Dude?
Passou sprite de skatista dizendo Radical Dude, do it.
He's like the main character of a canceled Veritas game that didn't make it very far in sort of the designing process. Like they have...
Eu não tanco mais.
Just like mock-ups of it. You can see all of this in the thread from One of Gamelon, but it's all just...
A varinha Zelda é multiuso, não só flechas, verdade. Daí que o Professor White se inspirou para poder surfar no Shield. Que jogo, amigos, que jogo. Beleza, alguém me explica por que raios o Link tá usando o vestido da Zelda. Isso é... Se isso for realmente o Link ou a Zelda. Então, não, é a Zelda. O nome do jogo é Zelda's Adventure. Esse é o jogo inteiramente da Zelda. É a Zelda. É a Zelda, Lucas.
All of these, or killing them, or running away from them, because they're actually quite scary. So, very, very interesting juxtaposition of those.
And now we are headed right into the final dungeon.
Essa era a nossa discussão de início do jogo. É a Zelda, só pode ser.
Melancholy, very sort of bittersweet. We're getting close to the end of the game here. As you said, here's Blacksmith. He's fun. He introduces himself.
Goodbye. This shrine is very, very unique because you'll notice many screens have no enemies, and some of the enemies that they do have are very weak. It very much feels like, and this is something that I believe is only theory on our part, that they ran out of time or something.
Time or budget, or maybe it was just super buggy because it was at the end of the game. And
Baita
in the 2 years of
homenagem.
QA that, yes, it went through 2 years of quality assurance, I assure you. Unfortunately, because the developer, like I think the lone developer of the actual game, parts of the game, and not like the menus and stuff, was no longer with the company for whatever reason. And so in order to fix any bugs that they found, they ended up removing a lot of content. And so we end up with 2 very easy shrines kind of back to back. So that's why the Shrine of Water is really like the final boss, the climax of the run. And now it's just like, you know, a victory lap around Ptolemaic. But yeah, we will be very soon meeting up with Warbane. He is the boss of the shrine. He will sass us. But he's also super weird in that he gives us a gift. He's very nice to us.
O boss dessa shrine, além de ser estranho, ele também vai dar um presente pra Zelda.
He's kind of a dragon.
Que é isso? É um dragão?
Dragon, a little bit.
Que é isso?
He's doing his best. But he gives us this hammer.
Bom, ele dá martelo.
So good, and it's also very, very inexpensive. It only costs 2 rubies to cast, and it has a very slow-moving projectile, which you might think isn't great, but actually it comes in handy for later. We'll be killing Ganon with it. Spoilers.
Vou ficar triste quando essa run acabar.
Right.
E no final dessa run ele vai matar o Ganon. É claro.
So we have $25
Spoilers.
from Jason,
Desculpa,
who says, had to
falei,
donate during the
traduzi ele,
most
mas ele
awful
falou.
block of GDQ. Also want to shout out my partner Krakow and best friend Lazy Tiger, who watch with me every year. And thank you to the tech crew, hosts, and runners for putting on such an amazing event.
Aparentemente não é só esse boss que é estranho, não é mesmo?
Here's the dogs I promised earlier.
Pois
the
é,
final
pois é,
appearance
pois é,
of
pois é,
that dog
pois é.
sprite that we saw a couple of times. And we need to kill that 3rd one in order to get into this door. And then there's one more scary screen in the shrine. It has a couple of what I call like bellhop kind of monkeys or something. They're a very strange enemy, but
Que é isso, velho? Olha esses bichinhos.
Why I call them that.
Doug, would you want Organics to explain the intense strategy coming up for our battle against Warbane?
Olha o boss.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So right now, Warbane's just giving us a little speech. We're going to fight him a couple screens from now. Warbane is another one of those bosses that has a fixed movement pattern, and so as you're playing this game, you sort of learn the right movement to dodge around and get your attacks in where you can. And we're going to see a very intense strategy on Warbane here. It's probably one of the most difficult movement patterns we've seen in a boss so far.
Yes, and here's that gold necklace that increases our magic defense because the good offense is the best defense, I guess. And now here we go. Quiet time for Warbane. All right, I did it. So the hitbox for the loading zone actually extends slightly into the room, so we can just walk out.
That was your discovery, right? Or Organics?
What?
Yeah, and again, it was literally just trying to dodge Warbane and figure out where he moves. I spent some time in every boss fight just like figuring out, okay, I can stand in this corner and get an attack and then move over here.
Ele foi pro canto porque o loading da próxima tela tava ali, então ele não precisava necessariamente lutar. Então ele esquipou a luta.
And then I watched one of Organics' videos and saw that he did it too. I was like, oh, how did I miss that when I watched that before? Because he like knocked me into it. He hit me. But yeah, it's always great to find like a safe spot in each boss fight. But speaking of boss fights, we have to do 7 of them.
Agora vai ter 7 boss fights
all
em seguida.
have been nerfed into the ground.
Primeiro aquele ali.
3 hits on Lord.
Instead of 10 wand hits, Lord now takes 3. That might be sort of a facet of our wand having powered up. But actually, we do know certainly
O
that,
cara que gira ali, o Garen.
that their health has been reduced because we will use the feather against Avian, and it will take a bit fewer than 11 hits, like it normally takes to kill her.
So far, that was 3 more hits on Pasquanaut, and then we're going to Avian, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
And 1 hit with the feather
Tá,
will kill Avian.
o Avian ali, o pássaro,
Now, I know
foi.
you've had a really tough time so far, Doug,
It's true.
during this
So
boss rush.
I could really use
Mega
a
Man
V10
boss
for
rush.
something right now.
You could use some hearts. So why don't you whack the 4th shrine boss with 1 hit and get a heart from every single one of the bugs she drops?
Yeah, Malmord
Because
has
it was
been-
so tough up to this point.
Yeah, Malmord turned into a bunch of bugs in a trench coat for some reason. So
O da água,
we'll just
o
get a bunch
geleca
of
da
hearts,
água.
even though I didn't lose any. And that's why like it's hard to tell what happens when you die in the boss rush because it's extremely hard to do so casually. And then at
there was the 5th boss, which means 6 should be next, right?
Yeah,
the bear.
Yeah, the bear from the Shrine of Strength. But inexplicably, Ursor is not. He didn't make it. He's not
He
here.
didn't show up to the boss rush. He got his calendar mixed up.
He's just not here. So I don't know why he didn't show up. There is, I think, an arena for him in the game's code, but it isn't used. So I suspect he was removed for buggy purposes or something. And
Tá,
now,
só que do 7 foi 6.
after the 10th hit with the hammer, I will call time. So
Então,
get ready
daqui a
on
pouco vai
that.
terminar, gente. Daqui a pouco vai
It'll
terminar.
take 5 cycles if I do it perfectly. We'll see if I do.
Olha o Ganon.
Ganon.
Meu
And this
chapéu, o
is
Ganon
why
parece
the
o...
slow-moving projectile of the hammer is quite handy. Oh, that was pretty good.
O... Como é que é mesmo lá do Mortal Kombat?
Require an extra one because I messed up and I
Shao Kahn?
there.
Parece o Shao Kahn. Zelda contra Shao Kahn.
He is totally fixed. Oh, I've just got nerves. It's fine. It's fine. We'll get another. He's totally fixed pattern. I know exactly where he's going to spawn. All right, yeah, I think it's going to take at least one more hit here. He'll spawn over here again. And that's time. We did it. We beat Zelda's
Amazing
adventure
run done.
together. We completed the unholy Triforce. I will request the tech team to please turn down the sound a little bit. It's about to get unbearably loud because it's not mixed very well here for the credits.
Nossa.
But congratulations, everyone. You survived.
Vamos.
We've done it. We saved Toll.
GG.
We'll finally get to see Link.
GG,
saved
guys.
him. My capture card hates it when it changes the resolution here. So
GG, guys.
We'll get back to it.
It changes
momentarily.
GG.
It must, because that's the only thing that makes
GG.
my capture card angry. But we can see.
We see
peace.
some beautiful scenes of Tolemac. There's a cow.
That's right. Peace and
GG,
cows return to
guys.
Tolemac. There's
Obrigado a
pig
todos.
there, a couple pigs. And there it is.
Vocês
There's Link.
são os verdadeiros campeões.
There's Link.
Oh,
done it.
Link!
There he is.
And nature is healing.
Oh,
That's very
Link!
good. All right, so I've got some shout outs here I would like to go through as well while we wrap up here, while Gastra gives us his final word. I'd like to, of course, thank my commentators for joining me today and sharing their knowledge. Very generous with their time. I know you had to stay up late or wake up early for this, so I really appreciate that. Our host, of course, Lana Roos, thank you for that. Really
Só
appreciate
pode
all
ser,
the work
velho.
you did to
Tem que
prepare
ser o
for this
Link.
run. That's much more than was necessary, and you really did it, so thank you for that.
Ai,
The whole
ai.
CDI community, you're awesome. I love you, especially Gruntmeister. Thank you for bringing the other 2 Zelda CDI games to GDQs. Thank you to Dopley for bringing fan remakes into the world and making the game so much more accessible. Thank you, Stovent and Fishbone, for your emulator work. You can check out our Discord if you're interested in this type of thing. It's on ZSR and it's on speedrun.com. You can just check it out there. Shout out to everyone else on the leaderboard that I haven't mentioned yet, like Usui
Eu acho que era um
and
pedaço de
Astro and Dark. Thank you for learning
Tá,
the speedrun
gente.
OC as well. Thank you for learning the speedrun.
Acabou.
And putting a time up there. That's very cool.
Nós vencemos.
Thank you to the Zeldathon team and community. You
Nós
are
vencemos.
so wholesome
Mas
and
lembrando,
so uplifting
zoeiras à
and
parte,
supportive. I really appreciate it. Thank you to
né? Se
CSR,
vocês
Zelda
gostaram,
Speedruns,
tem algum
Trisco,
interesse, realmente
especially
sigam
for
lá o
welcoming the CDI
Juggernaut,
games and the Tingle games into
né?
the fold of all of your Zelda content. I really appreciate
Sigam aí
that.
o Juggernaut se vocês querem ver mais coisas de CDI. Né? Não corre só Zelda's Adventure, corre alguns outros jogos CDI, então se vocês têm algum interesse, né? Enfim, né? Sigam o Runner, né? Deem uma olhada ali no trabalho dele, no conteúdo dele. E realmente, por mais que teve aí memes e coisa, mas é isso que faz o Waffle o Waffle. Essa é a boniteza, a lindeza do Waffle.
We'll be trying to check those out. It will be a very late night for me, but I encourage everyone else to do the same. And I will throw it as well now to my commentators if you have any shout outs or plugs you'd like to do.
I don't have anything major to say other than, Doug, this run was radical, dude. Totally.
Thank you. Organics, do you have anything?
I think you covered pretty much anything I would say, so thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, in that case, thanks very much. Keep watching Block. Keep watching the marathon. Keep donating if it's within your means. Thank you very much for having us.
Nossa, o que é o próximo jogo? Nossa, o que é o próximo jogo?